Now on Coast TV News.
Good Monday morning, Delmarva. We are back below the freezing mark peninsula-wide, so use some caution if you're out and about, especially on those side streets, those sidewalks, any of those untreated roadways. We are in for plenty of sunshine this week, but plenty of cold. You're going to get sick of hearing us talk about the cold weather. We are in for our coldest stretch so far this winter. Details ahead.
Plus, wet mess. We look at the aftermath from the first big weather event of the winter season.
Worries on the road, the icy issues from the overnight freeze, and what to expect as we near sunrise this morning.
And airports adjust after a day of cancellations, the changes to the schedule as flights look to resume today.
This is Coast TV News Today.
Continuing coverage of the winter storm, it's now close to 30 hours since that initial snowfall. We are now taking a live look into Milford. Parking lots are plowed there. This is Bay Health, just off of Route 1, south of the city. Some snow, so you can see that still on the ground.
And we are now taking a live look from just moments ago in Ocean City. This is high above Coastal Highway, above 94th Street. Not many people on the roads today, as much of Delmarva is sleeping in on their snow days. We have an icy start to our Monday morning following this weekend's big storm.
Sure do, Grace. And we have team coverage to help us tell the story in these early morning hours about this big freeze following the big snowstorm. Emma Aiken is in Milford. She's on the left of your screen.
And on the right side, that's a live look from the First Alert Weather Jeep. Inside is our Elisa Weber.
And that's how we are greeting you on Monday, January 26, 2026. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
Good morning, Matt. I'm Grace Eckerly. Thank you for joining us during this 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we are coming out of an intense snowstorm, and it's now leaving us with other challenges as we make our way to daybreak.
That's right, Matt. And let's get right to First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobono. He's joining us now with a first look at this forecast. Good Monday morning, Chris.
Good morning, Grace and Matt. Well, the good news is the snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain are a distant memory. All we have now is clearing skies gradually across the area. Now, temperatures have now fallen below the freezing mark peninsula-wide. You can see the snow pushing up through New England. We have some precipitation 2 hours south. We are expecting dry conditions. Now, anything that did not dry, especially for areas that received primarily rain yesterday afternoon, is going to likely be freezing this morning. We're at 31 in Ocean City. You can see we're holding at 27 in Rehoboth. We're at 27 Georgetown, 23 in Harrington. So use caution, especially on untreated surfaces and those sidewalks, even just stepping outside your house if you didn't put any salt down. Wind chills feels like 19 in Milford, 20 in Georgetown. Wind chills are really going to be the story this week, folks. We're going to see these wind chills dip as low as -10 throughout the week. Now, fog, not really an issue. We could see some visibility issues, especially in those familiar spots away from the beaches with some added moisture in the atmosphere. But we are in for a sunny, dry week, but a very cold week. Pretty quiet as far as precipitation goes. Cold, blustery day ahead with those wind gusts in excess of 30 miles an hour. So it's going to feel like the teens throughout the day today. And yes, that Arctic air is really going to grip the Delmarva Peninsula here all week long. It's been a while since we've had really a prolonged stretch of temperatures below freezing through most of the week. We get to right around 30 degrees this afternoon. Notice the wind chill. It's only going to feel like 17 by midday, and expecting plenty of sunshine throughout the day today. Tonight, we're going to dip into the single digits and teens. We'll talk about how long this brutally cold weather is going to stick around in my full 7-day forecast a little later on.
Thank you, Chris. As we focus on those icy conditions we just heard about, especially how those conditions are affecting our roads.
Coast TV's Elisa Weber is live in the First Alert Weather Jeep. Elisa, there is the effort to get the roads back to normal.
Good morning, Matt and Grace. We are driving through neighborhoods in Milford right now, going to give you a view outside. As you can see, the roadway is clear of snow, but the biggest concern this morning is black ice. Things were melting yesterday, and then this morning with these freezing temperatures, everything froze over. All of that moisture has turned into black ice. It is shiny on the roadways, but it's easy to miss, especially if you are focused on driving slowly. If you do not have to be outside this morning driving, it's best to stay inside until the sun comes out and it can melt things more. Also, something that you want to keep in mind is sidewalks. If you have to walk your dog or you're outside, just be mindful of those sidewalks. A lot of black ice in parking lots as well. Back to you.
Lisa, DelDOT is reporting that they have trucks and crews out treating the roads this morning. Have you seen any of that as you and Miranda are driving on Sussex County roads?
Matt, so when we were driving to downtown Milford from Milton, our station there, we did not run into any snow plows on Route 1 Coastal Highway. But when we got into downtown Milford, we were actually driving behind the city snow plow, which is always a good sign to drive behind a plow. But so far, that is the only plow that we have seen. Again, there's no need for plows to be removing snow this morning. More so, the efforts are to salt the roadways. Back to you.
Thanks, Elisa. Lisa Weber on our roads live in Sussex County. Here we are getting a live look at the westbound span of the Bay Bridge. You can see some of that is wet there. Not a lot of traffic, hardly any at all this morning. In the distance is the shoreline of the Chesapeake Bay along Route 50 heading to Annapolis.
Right, man. The National Weather Service actually says that bridges and overpasses freeze first and thaw last, so be careful if you're driving over them. Now taking a live look into Newark. This was footage from just moments ago. This is the area of the Christiana Mall. And now if you're driving in these major roadways, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is warning to never use cruise control. It can be tempting, especially if you're heading out in the early morning hours, but it actually reduces driver's control when traction is lost.
Yeah, you can see not a lot of traffic on the roads there in upper Delaware. Now checking in on the flights, seeing all flights from Philadelphia, BWI, Salisbury, Reagan, they were canceled on Sunday. Today it is a different story. Some cancellations are in Philadelphia. However, there are also some flights that are scheduled to take off on time. Same situation in Baltimore with a little over half of the flights scheduled set to take off on time. Salisbury's only flight today, that is scheduled right now to go off on time. And at Reagan National Airport, many flights are canceled with some scheduled to depart on time.
And we will continue to check in on more road conditions throughout our newscast.
Yeah, we're going to get right to First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobono. Chris, we just saw some of the road conditions in Sussex County.
Yeah, we're still going to see some slick conditions out there, so use some caution throughout the area, especially on those less traveled roadways, because we're back below the freezing mark, and anything that really didn't dry at the surface is going to be ice. You can see temperatures 24 Easton, we're at 27 in Georgetown. We're holding in the lower 30s at the beaches. When you factor in the wind, it feels like 19 in Harrington, 17 in Cambridge. Now, skies are going to be clearing through the morning. We're going to have plenty of sunshine, but not really that warm. We're going to get to right around the 30-degree mark through the afternoon, but it's going to feel like the teens with those gusts in excess of 30 miles an hour. It gets even colder later on this week. I'll have details on that here in minutes.
From major roadways to some of the side streets across Delmarva, we're now looking at Milford.
Yeah, that is where we have our Emma Aiken as the focus switches from snow accumulations to icy conditions. Good morning, Emma.
Good morning, Matt and Grace. Take a look. This street, like you said, it's not the snowy conditions we're worried about anymore. The street is pretty cleared of snow. You can see pavement even over here, this side street in Milford. Pretty clear. The one thing you will notice is snow kind of spilling out into the street more than what it would just because of the plows doing their job. That's the good news. We're not worried about snow anymore, but the bad news is the ice. Take a look over here. We've got a patch of ice here. I mean, it's not even budging. It's not even a little bit slushy. It's full ice. So that's kind of deceiving in some areas. You know, as soon as you step outside, it's that type of walking where you want to be more mindful about where you're putting your feet. Take a look at this big chunk of snow over here from the plows. I mean, this is extremely hard snow, so everything is frozen over. Again, very deceiving ice in some of those areas. We have seen just one snowplow so far this morning in Milford, but again, not really too much for them to plow. Snow's not really the concern here. It's really that ice on the road, so being mindful of that. For now, back to you guys.
Emma Aiken in Milford, boy, you could really hear the snow and the ice crunching on her boots there. Emma's been reporting there all weekend on the Sussex and Kent County line.
And Chris, it's actually more of those northern areas of our coverage area that saw a larger impact from the storm.
Yeah, exactly right, Grace. The most snow fell in the northern part of the state. In fact, Newcastle County saw upwards of about 8 to 9 inches of snow. Here across Sussex County, we saw anywhere between about 2 to 4 inches of snow, lesser totals as you made your way down through Ocean City, down through Worcester County. Now, yes, watch those, especially those on and off ramps, the bridges, those freeze immediately on contact. Temperatures are back in the 20s this morning, and it's going to feel like the teens throughout the day. I'll have the latest on a very, very cold stretch of weather ahead this week.
Thank you, Chris. New this morning, state emergency leaders are grappling with challenging conditions as a winter storm brings ice to Kentucky, creating hazardous travel conditions and power outages. State road crews have 1,500 plow trucks on Kentucky's roads, but the ice is causing hazards.
Once the temperature gets below a certain amount, what we use to treat the roads just doesn't work as well. And so I think people need to anticipate that we're going to be impacted through a portion of this week.
Unfortunately, the governor says he anticipates Monday's morning commute to be challenging.
And this system is a system that has impacted so many areas in the eastern part of the United States. Be sure to download the CoastTV app for your phone and tablet. We've been using it for special coverage of the storm. But all of our news is always on in this. And in case you didn't know, you can also get CoastTV's streaming app for your TV with devices like Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Coming up, morning after Minnesota shooting, we show you the reactions from people there and from law enforcement.
Also, winter weather conditions. We take a look across Delmarva at how communities stood against the storm.
And First Alert meteorologist Chris Masterbona, you see him there in the Weather Center. He is tracking those below freezing temperatures. We check in with Chris next.
Good Monday morning, Delmarva. Hope you're staying safe and, more importantly, warm out there this morning. As we take a live look into Dover, you can see the slush and snow on the roads and some ice there on the back. Less traveled roadways. Dover picked up about 6.5 inches of snow. On top of that, they had some ice accumulation last night, 23 degrees there. And you can see we are well below the freezing mark for much of the area. 25 in Cambridge. We're at 30 in Bethany Beach. When you factor in the wind, it feels like 17 right now in Cambridge. Now, skies are going to be clearing through the morning, and we're in for plenty of sunshine but plenty of cold. We're going to struggle to get to the freezing mark this afternoon with some clouds in the morning. Otherwise, those winds are going to pick up, gusting to near 30 miles an hour. We'll talk about a frigid week ahead. Full 7-day forecast is just minutes away.
Frigid indeed. Here is what we are seeing in western Sussex County. This is the intersection of US 13 and Delaware State Route 20. Route 13 clear of snow. It's that dampness and the potential of ice that has our concern.
That was a look from above. Now let's take a look on the streets.
Yeah, we're live with Jason Lee from our sister station, WBOC. Jason, what are you seeing there in Seaford?
Good morning, you guys. The roads have been cleared. The road crews have done a great job here in Seaford getting the main travel lanes cleared for commuters, but there is another aspect to this. It is the parking lots of the businesses, because these businesses rely on the patronage of the Seaford folks, and if you can't find a place to park, well, you can't bring your customers in, which is why the lot clearing crews are so very important, like Zach Pulcinella of Swamps Property Maintenance. You guys are out here to clear parking lots, but there is almost a bit of science that goes along with doing this, because you certainly don't want to be wasting time, energy, and fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. So as the snow starts coming down, we try to get all the emergency, exits and entrances open to make sure that nobody is, obviously, if an ambulance needs to get in, they can. Then once the snow clears on mornings like this morning, we come out and we'll push off the remaining stuff that's on the parking lot, and we'll get it salted so people can come in and enjoy their businesses this morning.
And with the weather being the way it was, we had a lot of snowfall yesterday, and then it turned over into a slush, and now we've got the freezing temperatures. So it's very packed down. It's very difficult to maneuver on. Just kind of walking around, we got to kind of be a little ginger with this. But you see this on a regular thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way the storm came in last night is we got the snow and then we got the rain, and that turned everything into slush. So the snow this morning is very, very heavy. It's very icy, and that's going to put us in a situation to where this morning we're going to be struggling a little bit to scrape off the lots, and we'll salt them, and then we'll probably be salting for the days to come.
All right, well, Zach, you and your crew be safe, and we're going to throw it back to you guys as we continue to be safe out here in Seaford.
Yeah, take your time shoveling this morning. It's like cement now with that added moisture on top of the snow that has fallen. But a windy, blustery day today. Wind chills feeling like the teens, and it gets even colder. We are on our way to sub-zero wind chills this week. I'll have details after the break.
Let's now check on the weather conditions on the other side of the peninsula. Dorchester County got quite a bit of sleet and freezing rain accumulation.
Just look at this camera. You got icicles. That is a great example of how cold things have gotten. WBOC's Hunter Landon is live in Cambridge. Hunter, road crews have been working all through the night.
Good morning to you, Matt and Grace. Well, those icicles on the live camera, really, we have a pretty similar situation out on the roads. This is a neighborhood, Water Street in Cambridge, right along the Choptank River. You can see there's just a layer of ice. Even though this road has been plowed, it's just that freezing rain and sleet that we saw fall throughout the day yesterday made those icy conditions out on the roads. And it's not just the roads or the sidewalks where you would expect for it to be a little bit slippery. But if you take a look down here, this should be grass. Listen to this. I mean, you could break your hand doing that. That is incredibly thick ice. So if you have to go out this morning, Dorchester County has lifted its temporary prohibition on non-essential travel, but that's primarily for people getting to work this morning. Hopefully people, at least in Dorchester County, based on the roads, have the day off. School is closed here in Dorchester County, so probably, if possible for you, just give the road crews another day to get out here and get after these roads. Back to you.
Landon in Dorchester County with some very icy conditions. We're going to take a look at that live camera again. If you're just joining us, that is a live camera in Cambridge, Maryland, near the banks of the Choptank River. Icicles on that camera. Chris, just a great image, really describing how cold it is in those conditions that we have to deal with today.
Exactly, and that was one of the areas that we pinpointed yesterday for ice accumulation once we had that changeover occur, Cambridge up through the mid-shore. Now, we still do have a winter weather advisory primarily for Dorchester County. This is not for anything falling from the sky. This is primarily due in part to those slick conditions across the county, so use some caution if you have to be out and about this morning. Gale warnings are up for the Chesapeake Bay through the Atlantic through Tuesday morning. Temperatures are back below the freezing. We're at 26 degrees in Rehoboth. We're holding at 27 in Georgetown. More importantly, it feels like 19 in Rehoboth. It feels like 16 in Harrington, 19 in Seaford with the wind. Now we have some clouds hanging on from Ocean City down through Crisfield. Some precipitation to the south. That's going to stay to our south. Our storm system that brought snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain is now pushing up into the Canadian Maritimes, and we have just rounds of cold air to come. If you want to escape, you got to go down to Miami. 73 degrees there, 80 yesterday. So that's really the only part of the country that's warm at this hour. We're at 30 right now in Ocean City. Today we get to right around just shy of the freezing mark. We're at 28 in Easton, 30 Lewis to 32 in Ocean City. So we're in for a nice day as far as sunshine is concerned, but temperatures, look where we fall tonight. 11 in Georgetown, 13 in Lewis, and a mostly sunny Tuesday, but we're going to struggle to get out of the mid-20s. Now we have cold weather advisories for Kent, Sussex, Talbot, Caroline counties. These are going to affect this evening and run through Wednesday morning for the threat of 0 to near minus 10 degree wind chills, and those extend through the south, Dorchester, Wycomico, as well as Worcester counties. Now, we are going to see sub-zero wind chills here really for the next 5 days. As we go in through Thursday, that's really going to be the core of the cold, so your risk of getting frostbite is going to be increasing with any exposed skin if you're out for a prolonged period of time. High pressure is going to be building in, and we are going to lock into one of our coldest stretches so far this winter. In fact, we could see some records broke by we get into Thursday. Now, I know we just got over some snow, sleet, and freezing rain, but we are keeping a close eye on a system potentially Saturday. Right now, most of the guidances keep that system to our south and east, but we will continue to follow that closely here over the next 5 to 6 days. Temperatures only 20 for a high on Thursday. Look at those overnight lows Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the single digits, and then keeping our eyes for some potential snow there in through Saturday.
More snow, Chris. After the break, morning after Minnesota shooting, the information we have on the man killed at a protest on Saturday. CoastTV News will be right back.
This just in, the frigid weather didn't stop protesters in Minnesota from demonstrating over the weekend.
Reed Binion showing us how people are reacting after another deadly shooting of a U.S. citizen by a federal agent.
Tensions rising again in Minnesota after a federal immigration agent shot and killed a man in Minneapolis over the weekend. It marks the second time a Minneapolis resident has been killed by federal officers this month. 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Preddy, a U.S. citizen, was shot and killed Saturday. The Department of Homeland Security said agents were conducting a targeted operation against an undocumented immigrant wanted for a violent assault when another individual, quote, approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
He brought a semi-automatic weapon to a riot, assaulted federal officers, and at some point they saw that weapon.
Records show Preddy was a lawful gun owner. Federal officials claimed an agent shot Preddy in self-defense but have declined to provide critical details supporting that. Meanwhile, Democrats and others point to witness statements and multiple videos of the incident that tell a different story.
This man, Alex Preddy, was peacefully assembling. He was lawfully carrying his weapon with him. He was not brandishing it by definition, by any stretch at all.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
And coming up, we take a look at driving conditions across Sussex County.
Milford's current conditions, what was once snow, is now just icy and dicey.
Now on Coast TV News.
Icy issues. With focus now on an overnight freeze, what we are seeing on Delmarva's key roads.
Condition change, the difference in Milford as a snowy day turned to rain overnight.
Good Monday morning, Delmarva. We are back below the freezing mark peninsula wide, so use some caution if you're out and about, especially on those side streets, those sidewalks, any of those untreated roadways. We are in for plenty of sunshine this week, but plenty of cold. You're going to get sick of hearing us talk about the cold weather. We are in for our coldest stretch so far this winter. Details ahead.
And closed due to snow. Despite dig-out efforts, we still have office and school shutdowns at the start of the week.
This is Coast TV News Today.
We continue to make our way out of this weekend's snowstorm. Now taking a live look at Salisbury. This is a view above Carroll Street. The National Weather Service reminding drivers that just a thin glaze of ice can make roads more dangerous than several inches of snow.
It's a big concern there, Grace. And here's what we're seeing at the southernmost coastal point in Delaware. This is Fenwick Island. Moments ago, coastal highway looking pretty good, the road there near the state line.
And we have team coverage to help us tell this morning in these early morning hours about this big freeze following the large snowstorm. Emma Aiken is in Milford. She's on the left of your screen there.
And on the right side, you see the live look from the First Alert Weather Jeep. And inside that Jeep is our Elisa Weber. It's those conditions that many of us are waking up to on January 26, 2026. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Grace.
Good morning, Matt. I'm Grace Eckerly. Thank you for joining us.
5:31 a.m. and we're about 30 hours now into this first big weather event of the winter season.
It's been a large one, and I'm sure you enjoyed your time in the snow. Did you go outside and play?
I didn't play. I shoveled twice, actually.
Okay, you and many people across the region. Well, and let's get to First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobono. He is the man of the hour. He's helping us prepare as you make your way out the door this morning.
Good morning, Grace and Matt. Yeah, we saw temperatures get above the freezing mark last night, so most of the precip we saw was rain, but now we are below the freezing mark peninsula wide. We are dry. The snow, sleet, and freezing rain is a distant memory. We do have some moisture well to our south across portions of the Carolinas, and that is going to stay to the south as our area of low pressure that brought all of our winter precipitation is now lifting to the northeast. We are at 28 in Salisbury, so use caution out there on those side streets and sidewalks. We're at 24 Bridgeville, 26 in Rehoboth. When you factor in the wind, it feels like 19 in Rehoboth, 18 degrees in Milford. Fog not an issue this morning, but we are going to be dealing with these frigid wind chills, not only for today, but for an extended stretch of weather. Dangerous cold is heading our way as that Arctic air locks in to the Delmarva Peninsula. We'll have partly cloudy skies through the morning. We're going to struggle to get above the freezing mark today, with most areas staying below that, and those winds picking up out of the northwest, gusting near 30 miles an hour, making it feel more like the teens. We're going to talk about some sub-zero wind chills across the peninsula. I'll have details when they arrive coming up.
Thank you, Chris. Crews are continuing their efforts in Delaware and Maryland to get our roads back to normal.
We have our Elisa Weber on a stretch of road in Sussex County this morning where we are seeing the effects of that overnight rain. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt and Grace. We are making our way out of downtown Milford right now, headed to Route 1, a coastal highway. Going to show you the conditions outside right now. A clear road, no snow on the roads. You can see it on the side where the plows did their job. But the main concern this morning is that black ice. We actually just passed someone who was walking their dog this morning. They were walking slowly, which is what we would advise you to do if you are outside. But driving this morning, we're seeing a couple cars on the road as we make our way right now onto Coastal Highway. As you can see, this roadway is clear. This is a great sign after the weather we experienced yesterday. But as Matt mentioned, that rain last night, that's going to turn into black ice this morning, which is what we are seeing, especially in parking lots. So just be careful. If you're walking, driving, just go slowly, whatever you are doing. And if you can stay home, we advise that you do. Back to you.
Thank you, Elisa. Now from major roadways to some of the side streets across Delmarva, we're looking at Milford next.
Yeah, that is where we have our Emma Aiken as the focus switches from snow accumulation to icy conditions. Good morning, Emma.
Matt and Grace, good morning. I just heard Elisa there on the main roads, and it's not much of a better scene here on the side streets in Milford. It may look like it's okay because there's not snow, but it's very icy here. This sidewalk over here, just went and checked that out. That's almost completely frozen. So if you are out here walking, you know, just being careful of not slipping on the ice because sometimes you can't even see it. There's a patch over here that we have, and I can't even break it with my foot. So again, in certain places, this isn't even just mixed slush. It's complete ice. We've still only seen that one plow come through here, but again, plowing not really their priority. Maybe if there was a magic plow that could melt some of this ice, that would be great. But unfortunately, the temperatures just aren't on our side right now. Speaking of temperatures, I will say it's very cold out here, especially being out here for about 30 minutes or more. So again, if you are outside, make sure you're layering up because it at first doesn't seem like it's going to be too cold, but there's a wind and a chill in the air. So just being mindful of that. Again, we'll keep you guys updated as this day wakes up. But for now, back to you guys.
Some good advice. Emma, I'm going to switch gears with you here. I know the other day you saw some snowmen in Milford.
Emma, are they still standing today with those varying temperatures?
Matt, yeah, so I was actually wondering the same thing, Matt and Grace, when I woke up because we were driving around yesterday and there was a bunch of snowmen around Milford, and I was wondering with these fluctuating temperatures, will the snowwomen survive? They did survive this morning, so we saw one that was still standing. So I guess that's one good thing of these colder temperatures, keeping our snowmen intact.
Good up-to-date reporting on those snowmen. Thank you, Emma. New this morning, Maryland Governor Wes Moore will visit emergency operations centers today. According to his office, at 10 a.m., he's scheduled to visit the State Highway Administration Emergency Operations Center. That's located in Hanover. It's between Annapolis and Baltimore. And then at noon, he's at the Annapolis Emergency Operations Center to speak with emergency workers and Maryland National Guard members.
State of Delaware offices are closed today, January 26, 2026. This applies to all 3 counties. However, essential employees designated for severe weather are to report as scheduled.
With wintry weather impacting Delmarva schools, the districts already have a plan. According to the Cape Henlopen School District, if there are 2 consecutive school closure days, operations move to synchronous learning on the second day. The district will share any delays or closures through phone, email, text, or social media. Indian River School District says the first day of weather-related closures, that is a snow day. The second, students will complete assignments on their own time without live instruction.
And we have First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobono back with us.
Yeah, Chris, we continue to check conditions on those back roads. If you recall the January 2025 storm, that caused most of our schools to be closed for up to 5 days due to challenges of getting ice off those roads.
Oh yeah, that storm we had near over a foot of snow. Now this storm was not as intense as that storm, but we did have more of an ice element, especially along the mid-shore. So use some caution when navigating those bridges, those on and off ramps, and certainly just right in your backyard stepping out the door this morning, because look at these temperatures. We're well below the freezing mark. We're at 24 in Easton, 26 in Georgetown. Now we are dry, free of any precipitation at this hour, and we're going to stay that way throughout the day, but a cold, blustery day on the peninsula. In fact, today is actually going to be the mildest day over the next 7, and I'll have more details on that here coming up shortly.
Thank you, Chris. Now taking a live look at Dover, this is our Bay Health Kent camera. You see there on your screen, got a few icicles forming. Matt, I think that this is just a testament to how frigid those temperatures are outside.
Seems like we have a reoccurring theme here, Grace. Hey, let's take a look at Dewey Beach just moments ago. This is on Route 1, Coastal Highway near Reed Street. Coastal Highway throughout our area, especially southern Delaware, it has that wet look. The challenge throughout the day is ice and temperatures that won't get above freezing.
And here's a look at Georgetown. This is on US 113 at Route 9. It looks like those streets are plowed. You just want to be careful. Even when roads look slick or wet, it could be black ice. Be very careful if you're heading out driving. We're now bringing back First Alert Meteorologist Chris Mastrobono.
Yeah, he's the man of the hour.
He is.
Hey, Chris, Sussex County has a level 1 for driving conditions, meaning you can get on the roads with caution. But bridges, that's a big concern with ice because you have that air above and then you also have that air below the bridge.
Exactly. Those bridges freeze up first before any of the roads do, and especially those back roads across much of the area, and especially if you're heading further north where they saw more snow and more ice accumulation. So watch out for black ice, especially on those on and off ramps. Temperatures are back below the freezing mark, and it's going to feel like the teens. And believe it or not, today is going to be the mildest day over the next 5 to 7. I'll have more details on that. And don't forget to download our Coast TV weather app. Scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen there. And that is a good tool to have, especially as we approach this really this frigid stretch of weather here over the course of the next week, and possibly maybe more snow over the weekend. I'll have more on that here in a little bit.
And be sure to download the Coast TV News app for your phone and your tablet. We have been using it all weekend for special coverage of the storm, but all of our news is always on this. And in case you didn't know, you can also get the Coast TV streaming app for your TV with devices like Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
All good ways to get your information. We've got a lot more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, pets in the cold, how to keep your furry friends safe.
An update from DelDOT, how that agency is tackling roads as storm recovery is underway. Stay with us on Coast TV News today.
Good Monday morning, Delmarva. If you are venturing out this morning, pack the hot coffee, the hot chocolate, and take your time out there. Heading into Dover, you can see you're still dealing with some snow and ice on the roads. They picked up over 6 inches of snow and on nearly a tenth an inch of ice. 23 in Dover. We're holding at 28 in Lewis, 29 in Ocean City. Now we have precip to the south. That's going to stay primarily to our south through the day today, and the temperatures are going to be the story. You see, we're at 30 degrees today, and look at where we are at by the end of the week. Lower 20s. I think we may break some cold highs as we get to the end of the week. We're going to come pretty close to that, and plus we'll talk potentially some more snow down the road. I'll have details on that here in a few minutes.
Thank you, Chris. This just in, DelDOT has been on the roads before, during, and after the storm, ensuring our roads are safe.
Yeah, and this morning we had the opportunity to speak with DelDOT to hear firsthand how operations are going. What are some of the biggest trouble areas that you are seeing in Sussex County? I would imagine the back roads as opposed to the main highways and main roadways.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly the main roads are largely just wet here in the early morning hours. Our plows are out on those side roads. We've got a slushy mix of that on some of these roads that we're trying to push off.
Governor Matt Meyer has a level 1 restriction in Sussex County specifically. What does that mean, and when do we expect to see those restrictions ending?
The level 1 is really just a general advisory against unnecessary travel. There's no formal ban on travel per se. We'll expect to be discussing with the governor through the morning when that level 1 can be lifted and normal normal unrestricted travel can resume.
All right, CR, we'll let you get back to it. Appreciate your time this morning as we look to get those roadways fully operating, fully back to normal in Delaware.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
You're going to want to take your time out there this morning. Temperatures are going to struggle to get above the freezing mark through the afternoon. It's going to feel more like the teens. The winds are going to be picking up, and unfortunately, that's only a taste of what's to come. It gets even colder through the week. The details next.
Let's check in with that live camera again in Cambridge. Just look at those icicles there covering the camera lens. Midshore, that is the area that got the worst of it during Sunday's storm, and the western side of Delmarva experiencing ice and freezing rain, as we just saw there, Grace.
Our sister station WBOC's Hunter Landon is joining us live in Cambridge. Hunter, it's an icy situation out there on many of the roads this morning.
A very icy situation out here indeed, Grace. Good morning to you and Matt there in the studio. Very warm studio. By the way, that live cam, that is really, I can almost see it from here. It's not far away. And those icicles that you see on the camera, it's really a very similar situation, not just on the roads and the sidewalks and the driveways where you would expect it, but also, I mean, on the ground just behind me here. Like there's a whole layer of ice right on top of the snow. That's because we had all that sleet and freezing rain yesterday. Pretty icy and dicey out on the roads, even in the neighborhoods this morning. Route 50 had some slick spots as well, so it's not just the neighborhoods where you may be running into some trouble. Dorchester County has lifted its prohibition on non-essential travel out on the roads for people going to work this morning. Hopefully not too many people have to do that, so the road crews can have another day to clear up the mess out on the roads. Back to you.
Thank you, Hunter. And the time is now 5:48 a.m. as we're taking a live look out at that Cambridge camera. And Chris, you said earlier that today was actually going to be the warmest day for the next few, but it feels wrong to say enjoy today's warmth.
Yeah, you know, we're going to see some bitter, dangerous wind chills as we approach late in the week. Now, as we make our way into Dorchester County, Cambridge, Taylor's Island through Hurlock, we still do have a winter weather advisory, and this is primarily due in part to those icy conditions. This has nothing to do with anything falling out of the sky. Now, we have gale warnings up, and these run through Tuesday morning for some winds in excess of 30 knots offshore. Temperatures are well below freezing, so anything that hasn't dried is now ice. 23 Harrington, we're at 27 in Millsboro. When you factor in the winds, it feels like 19 Rehoboth, 20 in Georgetown, and it feels like 18 in Milford. Now, we could see a few areas of some light freezing drizzle, primarily from Chickateague south, as this moisture continues to slide off to the east. But for the most part, we are beginning to clear out. Skies are clearing, and high pressure is building in. And you can see that Arctic air has its grip on most of the country. You have to go down to Florida and the islands to escape the cold. We're holding at 28 right now in Salisbury. Today, morning clouds, afternoon sun, 30 in Salisbury. We'll have a high of 32 in Ocean City, 29 in Dover. So we'll have clear skies through the evening and overnight. A bitterly cold night will fall to 14 in Long Neck, 11 in Georgetown. Some of our coldest areas dropping into the upper single digits. So that is why that cold weather advisory is in effect, due in part to the dangerous wind chills we expect through Wednesday morning. Wind chills will be anywhere between about 0 to say -10, and that extends into Dorchester, Wicomico, as well as Worcester counties. Look at these wind chills by tomorrow morning. Feels like -2 in Georgetown. By Wednesday morning, feeling like 0 in Lewis, -2 in Ellendale, and then the core of that really polar air comes over the area as we go into Thursday, feeling like -6 in Ellendale, feeling like -2 in Ocean City. So that area of high pressure is going to be sinking southward as we go into late week, and that's really when we expect the core of the cold, but we're going to struggle to get above the freezing mark. In fact, we may not see above freezing temperatures until next Monday. Then we watch a coastal low potentially developing as we go into Saturday. I know we're just getting over some snow, ice, and rain across the area, but this is a system that we're going to have to keep a very close eye on as we go through the week here. That could impact the region as we go into Saturday. Most of the models suppress the system to the south. 20 degrees, that's all we're going to do for a high. In fact, some cold highs may be in jeopardy as we go into Thursday and Friday. Overnight lows in the single digits. Again, those wind chills below 0, and then watching for the threat of some snow over the weekend. Grace.
Thank you, Chris. And coming up tonight on DSN at 8, Gillian Academy takes on SoCal Academy in boys basketball, and it's outdoors Delmarva at 10:30 p.m. And the time is now 5:52 a.m. Time to check in with our Coastal Pets plural mat of the day.
Yeah, how about these buddies here? Today's Coastal Pets, they're enjoying some cozy time inside. Can't blame them on that. So on your screen, we've got Lola, Roxy, and Buster. And these 3 were submitted to us by Charles in Milford.
Matt, I think that these guys are the most well prepared for the weather that Chris is forecasting this week. They look all nice and warm in their coats.
And they're posing for the camera,
There you
too.
go. We want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. You can send us photos, tell us what makes them so special. If you take a look at your screen now.
Yeah, scan that QR code top center to get your friend to Coast TV News. Then watch weekdays 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
We are giving you a live look from our First Alert Weather Jeep of what it's looking like outside on Coastal Highway right now. We are driving south on Route 1. As we can see, there are a lot of cars on the road this morning. This roadway, it is clear of snow. The biggest concern this morning is that black ice. You want to make sure that you are driving slowly and carefully, keeping all eyes on the road as we deal with that ice this morning with all of that rain and water freezing overnight. Right now, the temperature about 20 degrees outside, so it is cold. We did see some people walking their dogs already this morning. Sidewalks are a concern. A lot of them are covered, and underneath that snow could be ice. So just be careful as you are walking this morning. As you are driving, though, we do see people are out and about. Just be careful. Keep all eyes on the road, especially on those back roads. But these main roads, DelDOT has gotten to them. We actually just passed a DelDOT truck, so they have their eyes on these continuing conditions as we come out of Sunday's storm. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Elisa. DelDOT certainly working hard. Thanks to know, health officials in Dorchester County are advising the best ways to avoid frostbite and hypothermia if you must be outside. According to the county health department, the first layer of clothing should be something that will keep you dry. The second layer should be made out of fleece or wool to keep you warm. And the agency says that your outer layer should be waterproof and wind resistant, ideally with a hood. Dorchester County Health Department says that mittens are also better than gloves because they allow your fingers to share warmth.
Delaware Emergency Management Agency is reminding people to take time to check in on elderly neighbors. The agency says ways people can help are to clear walkways, check heating systems, and make sure emergency contact information is shared. According to DEMA, people can also offer help with groceries or medications if needed.
The Wacomico County Health Department is sharing some helpful tips for pet owners. The agency says to set up a warm and draft-free space that's inside, away from windows, and to prepare a pet emergency kit if needed. When walking dogs, officials are advising to watch for shivering or lifting of their paws. The department says that smaller and senior dogs may need coats and little booties. Even though they're cute, it's to keep them warm, and to check under car hoods for cats before starting up your car engines.
And we are going to see plenty of sunshine through the afternoon, but it's going to stay quite cold today. Temperatures barely getting to 30 degrees. Wind chills are going to be in the teens through the day today, and it gets even colder here as we approach the week here. Temperatures are going to stay well below freezing really through next Monday. Brutally cold air, 20 degrees is for a high on Thursday. Wind chills below zero, and then potentially some snow over the weekend.
Coming up at 6, we give you a live look at the road conditions this morning from our First Alert Weather Jeep as people decide what they're going to do today after Sunday's storm. All that and more when Coast TV News Today returns.